in the annals of Philippine legal history, few names are as controversial, as polarizing, and as haunting as that of Leo Pilo Echegaray, the first person executed by the state after the Philippines reinstated the death penalty in the late 1990s. His story is not just about crime and punishment. It's about a country grappling with justice, mercy, and the irreversible power of the state. It's about a man who proclaimed innocence, yet was ultimately silenced by lethal injection. Echegaray was found guilty of raping his 10-year-old stepdaughter, a crime that shocked the nation. His conviction stirred a wave of moral panic and political resolve. In 1994, amid growing public outrage over rising crime, the Philippines reimposed capital punishment. For the first time in decades, death loomed again in the justice system. With his sentencing finalized, government prosecutors moved quickly to enforce the punishment. They sought the Supreme Court's approval, as required by law, no later than October 21st. But Echegaray wasn't ready to die, not yet. He filed another appeal, arguing that under Philippine law, his execution should no longer be permitted, as more than 18 months had passed since his judgment became final. In essence, he claimed that the state had missed its window to carry out the sentence. The Supreme Court, however, rejected this plea, dismissing it as a delay tactic. Then came the death warrant, issued on November 16, 1998. The date of execution was set for January 4, 1999. As the clock ticked down, the story took an unexpected turn. Just 1 week before his scheduled death, Echegaray married an old girlfriend from his college days. The sudden marriage stunned many, especially the mother of the victim. To her, the marriage validated everything her daughter had claimed. It confirmed the relationship, the betrayal, the suffering. But even as the mother found some bitter validation, the girl, now a young woman, refused to forgive. Not then. Not ever. Then, just 3 hours before the execution, a last-minute reprieve was granted. By then, Echegaray had already ordered what he believed would be his final meal, a simple plate of sardines and dried fish. It was a humble request, symbolic of the life he once lived. The reprieve came as the Philippine legislature began to reconsider the morality of capital punishment. Lawmakers were divided. Some wanted the executions to proceed. Others expressed unease, questioning whether death truly delivered justice, or merely ended the chance for redemption. For a brief moment the nation paused, but it would not last. The stay of execution was soon lifted after Congress decided to keep the death penalty in place. The machinery of death moved forward once again. Echegaray submitted a new motion to appeal, hoping to halt the process one last time. But on January 19, 1999, the motion was denied. 1 week later, on January 26, the Supreme Court issued its final word. It rejected any further attempts for a reprieve. The justices declared that they would entertain no more petitions from Echegaray or his camp. International outcry quickly followed. The European Union, Amnesty International, and even the Vatican reached out, pleading with President Joseph Estrada to show mercy. They argued that taking Echegaray's life would only deepen the nation's wounds and diminish its global standing. Clemency, they said, was the higher path. But President Estrada was unmoved. He declared publicly that he wanted to send a message to future rapists, that the Philippines would no longer tolerate such crimes. He also revealed that the victim herself had visited him. She spoke with clarity and pain. She told the president that Echegaray deserved to die, and that she was firmly against any mercy being extended to the man who had destroyed her childhood. With that, the final blow was dealt. On the morning of February 5, 1999, inside Manila's New Bilibid prison, Leo Pilo Echegaray prepared for the end. He was informed that the Supreme Court had rejected his last-minute appeal, just minutes before the scheduled injection. This time there would be no reprieve, no second thoughts. His final meal was a step above the one he'd ordered weeks prior. Prawns, bolalo, and grilled fish, perhaps a last attempt at dignity. He also smoked several cigarettes, his nerves quiet behind gray clouds of smoke. Then came his final words, words that remain disputed to this day. Prison officials claimed he looked at the girl, the one he once called his daughter, and said, "Baby, forgive me." But other witnesses remembered something different. They said his last message was not to her, but to the entire nation. Sambayan ng Pilipino, patawarin ako sa kasalanang ipinaratang ninyo sa akin. Pilipino, pinatay ng kapwa Pilipino. People of the Philippines, forgive me of the sin which you have accused me. A Filipino, killed by fellow Filipinos. 8 minutes later, Leo Echegaray was pronounced dead. He became the first person executed in the Philippines since 1976, and one of 7 Filipinos put to death between 1999 and 2000, before the country would once again abolish the death penalty in 2006. To this day, the name Echegaray evokes strong emotions. Some say justice was served. Others believe an innocent man may have died, a victim of a flawed and politicized system. But one thing is certain. His execution marked a turning point. It forced a nation to confront the true cost of capital punishment, not just in legal terms, but in human ones. And it left behind a question still unanswered. When the state takes a life, who really is justified?